Hi everyone, this is Kevin Estupinan and this is my week 3 discussion. From watching the video Differentiating Instruction Through Interactive Games, I saw and heard evidence that supports setting and communicating learning objectives, the use of the gradual release of responsibility model, giving feedback, and assessment in Mr. Pronovo's classroom. Mr. Pronovo set and communicated learning objectives by stating to his class in the beginning of the video that day they're going to practice addition and subtraction, and that they're going to learn key terms to identify when to add or subtract. He used a gradual release of responsibility model by lecturing at first, then having students start working, and the ones that really needed help, he tended to them in small groups, and then after having all students work independently on the computers. He also mentions how the video game Planet Turtle gives students immediate feedback when solving the math problems on the laptops when he can't reach every student, and how students who really need his help, he tends to them in a small group where he can give direct feedback. Mr. Pronovost assesses students by having them play Planet Turtle, which gives them a percentage score, and they must have a minimum of 80% to move on to the game Dreambox, by having them pass every level in the game so students can move on to the next level, and by him working with the groups of students who really need his help, offering them math problems to work out right in front of him to see how their learning is going. Mr. Pronovo structures his lessons to incorporate technology by implementing a live camera that displays on the board what he writes on the iPad during lecture, and allowing students to use iPods and MacBooks so they can play the educational games called Planet Turtle and Dreambox. Through his use of technology in the classroom, differentiation is promoted by allowing students to move at their own pace from Dreambox, receiving individualized instruction from Dreambox, which also allows them to move on to more challenging problems, so they're continuously learning by having students practice the addition and subtraction skills learned prior to reinforce their knowledge on the MacBooks, allowing students to utilize every tool at their disposal, whether if at that moment it's best to count on their fingers or solve a math problem on the whiteboard, keeping easily distracted, unamused, or bored students entertained and interested in their learning by the use of digital tools, and allowing students the use of a full whiteboard as their table so they're always ready to solve a math problem and can clearly see the bigger picture. The evidence supporting varying levels of cognition in this video is that students first hear the math lessons while seeing it being written, then they are able to practice writing it out, all while mentally taking in notes and details. Students also exercise their cognitive responses by seeing and clicking out the math problems on the MacBooks. Some might need to write it out on whiteboards, and if audio is allowed, then students can hear the digital responses. The levels of depth of knowledge reached by students during the various lessons explored in the video are all four: recall, skill concept, strategic thinking, and extended thinking. Students were asked to identify when to add or subtract from Mr. Pronovost in the beginning of the video. Students were asked to show their work when solving math problems on the whiteboard in groups. Students were asked to assess their knowledge by solving math problems on the Planet Turtle game, which also scores them with a percentage, and students had to prove their mastery of the math content by how many levels they've passed. I believe this type of learning environment makes students feel safe, excited, and content about their math capabilities, because all their time and attention is being used up from an inanimate object that's presenting math in a simple, entertaining manner, and because their teacher is kind enough to help struggling students. In the video, every student seemed entertained, amused, content, and even relaxed in the classroom. Through the use of MacBooks, I believe these students feel safe, comfortable, and open to learning because they're able to practice what they learn on computers, which helps them out and gives them feedback from a neutral digital response, and because their teacher is kind enough to help them out when students really need it. The use of technology acts as a distraction for students, not opening time for embarrassment, bullying, or fighting because everyone is enticed by the laptops and are trying to move on to the next level.